Hit it. But the sports minister Elvis Efriye says the Black Stars are well motivated to excel in the FIFA World Cup in Brazil, which opens later today. He says the president is personally assured the Stars of the nation's full support as they represent the Ghana on the global stage. In an interview with international correspondent Jefferson Saki, Efriye says each member of the team has shown total commitment even before the start of the tournament. Ouch. Well, we'll bring you the full interview we'll bring you the full interview on Jefferson Saki's report this Saturday at 7:30 p.m. And I totally apologize for the lack of audio on that. But Sepp Biatter has indicated he wants to seek a fifth term as FIFA president and called UEFA disrespectful following calls for his resignation. He's been widely criticized over the damage corruption allegations have caused football's governing body. It's your decision, so he says. But since 1998, Sepp Biatter has been president of FIFA. During his 13-year reign in charge of FIFA, he has been seen to, well, people have said he's corrupt, he's sexist, and he's homophobic. Now, those are people's description of Sepp. But FA chairman Greg Dyke told FIFA president Sepp Biatter he is damaging the image of football. And as the vice chairman, David Gill has also called on Biatter not to stand for re-election. According to him and others, the time has come to put an end to Biatter's rulership, which has tainted international football far too long. He's accused of backroom dealings, bribery, marginalization within the organization he leads. Greg Dyke is therefore soliciting 100,000 signatures and backings for his petition. He believes FIFA needs a trustworthy leader to represent the football organization, and regardless of the person's nationality, gender, or sexuality, we must all unite to protect the game. Well, that's a lot of grammar. I really want to talk about the World Cup right now, and I have George Addo Jr. here, looking all dapper, and he's a sports journalist here at Joy News. We'll talk about the World Cup. And then maybe we'll talk about Sepp Biatter as well, won't we? Yeah,
we'll talk about him. There's quite a lot to talk about him because he's tried his best, but I'm not sure we want to give him a fit term. I'm not sure most people are in the mood of giving him a fit term. There's a lot of politicking going in there, but it's important to look at what he has done and whether indeed he can bring something new on board.
He has huge dreams. Interplanetary World Cup.
Well, I'm not going to fault him anyway, because under his reign, he managed to bring the World Cup to Africa. He took it to Asia. So if he says that he's thinking about interplanet, I think it's a bit over the board. But he's just trying to say that he's willing to bring in a lot of innovative ideas, if he can. But I think that we've had too much of him. So I thought when we get into that discussion, I'll just give you the highs and the lows. Absolutely. And why I think this man probably must say, thank you, I'm off.
But finally, the day is here.
Time for the World Cup. Everybody's pumping up for it. It's all about what can your country do at the World Cup. That's if you're participating. But more importantly, it's supposed to be a symbol of unity, uniting everybody in the world. We're saying that football is the thing. Once it's time for football, we put everything aside. And so even if your country is not part of this World Cup, it is a unifier because everyone is watching.
Do you play some football?
Yes, I play some very good football. It's just that I had to take my education quite serious, and I missed out. I've been playing for maybe Asante Kotoko, Hartsville to start with, and then maybe
I play football too.
You don't really look it.
Oh yeah, I do. Too bad. There's no football here. I would have showed you some skills.
Too bad because you worked it out. Because you can just get a football. Everyone to get a football to see what you can do.
But what should we expect tonight from the
opening ceremony? I think that we're going to really enjoy one of the great curtain raisers in history. Because of what they have lined up. Jennifer Lopez, Pitbull, and of course Claudia Litte coming up with a song, We Are One. I'm sure you've enjoyed that. They're going to be performing live, in Rio. Apart from that, there are a number of things that are going to happen. We're going to have a feel of the Brazilian culture. It's all about the samba, isn't it? And then I'm sure the ladies who are gone in there, as you know, Ghanaian ladies are scared to go to Brazil because they are told they might find the owners of their hair.
That's just a joke.
But that's just a joke, I know.
That's just a
Brazilian hair, the system. So if you go to Brazil, one lady might walk up to you and say, hey, that's my hair, give it back to me. Anyway, it's just a joke.
Oh, but she sold it off.
She sold it off. So you give it back to her.
So you can't get it back.
Yeah, but I think it's going to be very exciting. All the teams are getting themselves pumped up. The Black Stars arriving late yesterday, about the last team to arrive in the World Cup. It doesn't really matter. We're still there. It should be a very, very, very good event. We should have all the speeches. And more importantly for Brazil, the protests and all that have been going on, we're yet to find out if the Brazilians will come together. They have to also understand that it's a World Cup. They might have issues in Brazil, but it's a World Cup, and this might not be the best platform to go ahead with the protest. We hope that that doesn't mind, but apart from that, it should be good.
It brings me then to my question of, we've heard that, if Aqua Harrison is in Brazil already, she's brought in a report how protesters are withdrawing from Sao Paulo.
Yeah.
But then it still brings the question, is Brazil ready?
Yeah, I think it's a question that, to be fair, we have not been able to answer in the past World Cups we've had. South Africa wasn't ready. South Africa wasn't ready. Germany wasn't absolutely ready. USA wasn't ready. South Korea, Japan were not ready. You can go back. It happens. It's just that with the Brazilian situation, they have been given the Olympic Games as well as the World Cup. And there is some sort of pressure that's mounting on them. And sometimes the Western media can mount huge pressure on you. Some of the stadia are not ready. They are putting finishing touches to it. But I think it's something that we have seen over and over again. I understand that we need to improve with the years going on, because any country that hosts the World Cup knows that 4 years before the World Cup. So Brazil were a bit slow in doing all of these things, and it's a bit rushed. But I'm not sure it's going to mar anything. It's something that we go through, okay? And then the issues with the economic hardships and the transports, these are normal things that happen. Really, I think we should not blow it over the cup.
But then you think about it, and the other countries perhaps did not face protests like this. Over 1 million people pouring out on streets to protest this and to raise concerns about security. And so people then want to find out, well, it's here, yes, it's here, but are we safe?
We're safe. I should be sure we're safe. We're safe. We are hoping that the protesters definitely do not, go routes. In Brazil, it's a tradition. It's a new tradition that they've picked up now, and they protest, and it's been very, very useful in effecting change. So it's something they are used to in Brazil. Maybe those who are getting to Brazil will probably cringe a bit when they see this happening, but it's something that's really, and I'm not sure it's going to go, that wild. And because during the Confederations Cup, it happened. During the Confederations Cup, it happened. There were some protesters trying to mar it, but in the end, it was a great Confederations Cup. So let's be optimistic. I know there are a lot of negatives, but I think we should be optimistic about the World Cup.
And I think so too. We should be optimistic. We have an opening game as well.
Yes, Brazil-Croatia. That's the game. 8 p.m. Ghana time. It's going to be 5 p.m. in Brazil because we're ahead of them 3 hours. And there's a lot expected from Brazil. They have to win this game, because once they win this game, who knows? The protesters can decide not to go ahead with all of that. They really need to win this game, and they have to get into the groove. But they have a Croatian side that are very determined. And they have some very good players like Mandzukic of Bayern Munich. They have a player like Luka Modric of Real Madrid. So they're not going to be a pushover. In times past with Yasuka and the rest, they have played very well. They will mount up some massive challenge. But with Neymar and the likes in Brazil, we're expecting that Brazil should at least try and nick this one. Don't rule out Croatia also giving an upset in that one. The last time we were shocked, South Africa going out in the first round. It had never happened that the host nation had gone out in the first round of the World Cup. It's open for new challenges. But I just think that with the Samba girls in the stands and the yellow and blue flying here and there, Brazil should just win this game.
And I totally agree with that.
That's
Football
right,
has got to its home.
That's right.
And then I want to find out, how important are first games?
First games are very important because it actually sends you into the frenzy and gives you the groove that you need. Because when you lose your first game, remember you have only 3 games in the group stage. So if you lose your first game, you are left with the second game. The second game becomes a do-or-die affair. If your players cannot hold their nerves, they can go in that one and lose it. And once you lose the first 2 games, you're out of the competition. So you need to win your first game or at least draw. Losing your first game is going to be absolutely disastrous. And in our group, maybe when we get there, you look at the permutations, and if Ghana loses to USA, we are left with Germany and Portugal, potentially the stronger teams to deal with. You need to pick your first 3 points, get the nation behind you. For the host nation, you pick your 3 points, you get them singing, they're very excited, they come into the next game, you probably win it, and you're all your way, and you're on your way going.
Ghanaians have been concerned about the group we find ourselves in,
Yeah.
but just so you know, the United States is also concerned about the group it finds itself.
Oh yeah, they're very much concerned. They are very, very, very concerned.
Except they are not too concerned about us because they think we can match up our 2010 performance.
They're worried about Ghana because Ghana beat them. In 2006, we beat them again in 2010. So they have taken the game, like in Ghana, we say in local parlance, like a World Cup. You know, they've taken it very serious. For them, it's the final. I think US will be satisfied if they just beat Ghana and still go out of the competition. So it's a huge game. The dynamics have changed. The coaches have changed. We have a coach in Klinsmann for Germany who was with Germany in the last World Cup, and he's now with the USA. And you have Coach Kwesi Appiah coming up, you know, and Coach Kwesi Appiah is also new. So it's not more of the same, really. I think this is a fair field, and we have to battle it out. But I think Ghana will have the energies to get the win over them.
So I did a few readings online, and yes, what Ghana was scored in our group.
Yeah.
We were scored just 1 point, and Germany had the highest point being 7. What do you think about this?
Well calculated. I think that I also feel that Germany can go through even with 9 points. Germany can beat the USA. Germany can beat Portugal. Germany can beat Ghana. That is the easiest prediction that you want to go by. After all, they were the highest scoring team in the World Cup, so you expect them to do so. The history they have against Portugal and Germany is they have been beating them. But they have a bad history against the USA. And this time it's even going to be much more difficult for them because they have their former coach coming up against the then assistant coach. So the USA team, I see it more like a German Team B. So that is a little bit, but I think that they can go through with 7 points. Germany should be favorites to get out of this group. Portugal, Ghana, US will have to sort themselves out.
Are we just going for a few days and then we'll come back?
Oh no! I hope not. And there's one thing about Ghana: the analysis before the competition would always differ from what we actually do there. When we get to tournaments, we have this tournament temperament, I call it. It's very, very interesting the way Ghana goes about it. We don't start very well. We are bad starters. We don't want to start badly this time. That could be very dangerous. But Ghana just has a way of getting into competition. In 2006, it was Italy, Czech Republic. You know, these were strong teams, and the USA. We lost to Italy by 2-0. We beat Czech Republic, and then went ahead to win a game against USA.
When are we seeing our first game? June
That's
16th?
on Monday. That's on Monday.
June
That's on
16th.
Monday. June 16 Monday.
Against?
USA in Natal.
I see. And what do you see?
Well, let me just touch on the concerns of football-loving fans. They're very worried about the Black Stars, and they're looking.
Me too, but I really don't care.
They're looking at the defense. We have issues in defense. We have only 3 natural defenders, 3 natural, lateral defenders. That's a big issue for us. I don't know how the coach is going to sort it out. But in the last game, we saw him using Kwaja Samoa at left back. It's a bit clumsy there for the defense situation. If we end up coming out of the competition, it will be because we didn't have the right numbers in defense. I hope that it doesn't come out, because here's the hope for everyone. Get excited. Every team of the World Cup has a problem in a particular department. It's about how you can take advantage of your opponent's weaknesses. Because Germany are there in the World Cup, they don't have a striker. They have just one striker. We are in the World Cup, we have issues with their defense. Portugal have issues with their midfield. USA have issues with their goalkeeper. So everyone has issues. On the day, it's about how much more can you make of that? How can you hound into your opponent's weaknesses or the mistakes he makes? It's all about.
And you think we've got that covered?
Yeah, I think we got that. We have great players, player to player. We have great players than the USA. I'm sure about that. About Portugal, well, they have Cristiano Ronaldo, who is playing well despite the Kubunsam and everything you're saying. He's playing very well.
I understand a Portuguese witch doctor has also reacted.
Said, yes, he reacted
to
and said that yes, he's also good. He was responsible for Jerry Akamenko, and he predicted that he was going to send one of our strikers out. I don't know if he has done that because Abdul Majid Rice got injured in the game, strangely, But let's forget about all of this then. There's a lot of superstition in this World Cup as well, but it's all part of the game. It hypes it. Let's see what we can do. I think we should try to win the first game. Let's see what we can do against Germany. A draw against Germany will be excellent. 4 points. We go play Portugal, who we hope, as a Ghanaian, we hope that they lose to Germany.
So let's look at how we qualify the process. We win our first game. That gives us...
I think we win our first game. That gives us 3 points. We draw with Germany. That gives us 1 point. Gives us 4 points. We go into Portugal's game, and because I'm expecting them to lose to Germany and probably win against the USA, they will come in that game with all the strength. We'll just draw with Portugal as well. 5 points, you see us through.
I like you. You're optimistic.
That's the other side. I don't want to go to the other You know, the pessimistic view. Yes, let's just keep it this way.
Yeah.
Let's keep the spirits up.
We'll keep it this way.
Follow that. Yes,
because it's the opening. We'll worry about that next Friday.
No. Okay, we'll worry about that. Maybe we'll see what we do on Monday. And after that, we can then focus and see what we can do in the next game. After the first game, the analysis will all change. How many cards do we, attract on the day? How many players get injured? Are we focused? What happens in the other team's camp? What are the men available? That will be crucial in deciding what happens the next one.
Do we know who we're fielding for our first game?
Let me just give you a rough idea. Coach Sepp Biatter says he doesn't know his first 11.
He's always said that.
He's always said that, and it's amazing. He's just trying to say, well, every player is good, but let's do this. It's very simple. I think in central defense, you're going to have Jonathan Mensah, John Boy. That's what we have anyway. Now, in right back, at the right back position, there are issues there. We can probably use Samuel Lincoln, but I think he might go for Harrison Alford at the right, like we saw him do against the last game against South Korea. And I'm not too happy about this, but I think that Kojo Samoa might be played in left back. And he's just going to have the three in the midfield like he did. He tried the 4-3-3 formation. He's going to have Asula Muntari. I know that. He's going to have Andre Didiayu, who was playing on the right, rather, and he's going to try and see if he could put in, what's his name? Asula Muntari. He could have Christian Ochu. He looked forward. He had Abdul Majid Waris, so it's going to be Kevin Prince Boateng, Asamoah Gyan, and if Majid Waris is not fit, we hear he probably might be well on the 15th. That's Sunday. If he's well, we can have Kevin Prince Boateng, Asamoah Gyan, Abdul Majid Waris, like what we saw, or we'll just have the 4-4-2. We have Majid Waris and Asamoah Gyan.
How safe is our goalpost?
Big issues. You asked me. I think that as we speak now, Adam Larson Kwarase has proven to be the safest pair of hands. But for some reason or the other, Coach Sepp Biatter seems very comfortable with Fatal Dauda. At the moment, Kwarase is not too fully fit. So, it's likely that Fatal Dauda might start. There's a real danger there because of the history of Fatal Dauda and the fact that he's not been active, in South Africa since he moved from Ashanti Gold to Orlando Pirates. It's been issues for him. I don't know what is running through the coach's mind, but I think we should be fine with any of the two goalkeepers. We are more safe with Adam Larson.
Anyway, at this point, I really don't care. But some of our viewers can watch the opening from here, can they?
No, they can't.
I understand they could watch.
No, we are working on our viewing centers. They can join us at the living room. We'll also be at the Brazilian ambassador's house tonight. So you can join us at the residence, the Brazilian ambassador's residence. You can join us there to watch the game live. And then we have the radio rights, so all of that's going to be rolling. And on television, we have some side programs going on. So you could be keeping your tracks on Cine Afrique, where we have Soccer Rocks. On Joy Sports, we have the World Cup Diaries also running. On Adom, we have what we call Incomode, World Cup Incomode. So there's a lot running on all our platforms.
What is World Cup Incomode?
World Cup Incomode. Let me talk to you about the interesting things that are happening in the World Cup, and a lot. For the ladies, they can roll onto the Soccer Rocks. There, you don't talk about which player played what. It's about which player is looking nice, who you are attracted to, whose shoe is nice, whose hairstyle.
Yeah, we like that.
Don't get onto Soccer Rock. That's what ladies are doing.
Anyway, now let's talk about Blatter and all the calls for him not to go for the next time. Let's look at the highs and lows, like you said.
Highs and lows. I think he's done well. He's innovated a number of things. We had the golden rule, if you remember. Well, some have said that it wasn't really an improvement, but I think that the golden rule then, if the scoreline stayed stale at the end of 90 minutes, you went into the extra time, and whoever scored the first goal just qualified. He changed that and brought that silver golden rule. He says that now that rule means that you have to play the entire 30 minutes before it goes on. He also in charge. He also made sure that Africa got the World Cup not long ago. He's tried his best to reduce the number of players that play from other countries in the leagues, okay? He's been doing a number of things, and I think he's not bad. He's been stable. He's had the World Cup move around. We've seen it go to Asia. We've seen it go to America. He's gone back to South America. We've seen it come to Africa. That's good for him. But the problem is that he's been involved in too many bribery and corruption issues. And anytime people want to probe him, he has a way of going out. In the lead up to the 2011 election, there was a man called Ben Hammam, and he was very likely to, unseat him. And there were issues about bribery and allegations, and he went on, and they actually decided to drop the man. And he didn't stand, he stood on the post. There was an air about that, it was never cleared. In 2008, there were issues about bribery and corruption, it was never cleared. So he has this history of issues of bribery and corruption never cleared. In the final one, awarding the 2022 World Cup and 2018 World Cups, there's also another bribery allegation that has come up. And what is his response to all of this? Whoever is coming up and is trying to try to make sure the right thing is done. He says that the English FA are racist. I don't believe so. I think that he's running away from being accountable. That is just the one thing that Blatter hasn't done. There's always a nice way of running around it and say that after all, the English want this to happen. The English want to see him out. UEFA want to see him out. He needs to settle issues about corruption when they come up. Because so far as I'm concerned, under Blatter, no issue about corruption has been settled. And that's just not good enough. And you know, sometimes the evidence is so clear, it's so rearing, and he finds a way of going about it. This time, he's gone to the racist button. And I don't think it's right. I don't think it's good. On that form, I think that they have some, reasons to say we don't want Blatter in charge again. Because he must be very accountable. And that is not really coming through now. Because all these bribery allegations, you must allow an independent body to sit down and work on this one. If it comes up to finding ways of staying in power, deciding that anybody who stands against me, I'll find a way of disqualifying him so that I can stand alone, it's not working right.
But then he said that, well, it's up to the Congress to choose.
Yes, because I don't know, but it happens with all football administration setups. Even here in the country as well. It's a big issue that those at the top or those at the helm find a way of keeping themselves in power. Only recently, CAF, we're talking about Issa Hayatou, he passed an interesting, law that says that if you're not part of the CAF Executive Committee, you cannot become the CAF president. And that was done because there was a man called Danny Jordan of South Africa who was likely to unseat him. And that was the only thing that would get him out of it. So for me, it's a bit interesting. And even somehow, the way the election is done, he knows what he's talking about when he says that Congress is going to decide. Because he knows what they do to get there. He's done the lobbying already. And no matter what it is, those who are behind...
Qatar. They've got the money. They don't need football to develop.
They will still need a number of things. Because once you're hosting the World Cup, you have to check your roads again. You have to check a few things. And then you also get yourself up there. So I think those who are angry with Blatter are saying that you guys took some money and gave this thing to them because they felt and they wanted to go their way. And Blatter wants to stand on that trump card and say, this is racism. You guys just don't like Qatar. Or you guys just don't like where the World Cup is going. That's why you're making all this noise. Yeah. I mean, most of them have been talking about it. They have beautiful, beautiful, nice ladies there in Brazil. And I'm sure some of them will get there. And the good thing is that the Brazilian ladies were told are learning English to make your communication much easier. So for those of you going to Brazil, it's going to be easy to just do the hello, hi, whatever. It's very easy for you guys.
I get it. But then if our viewers want to watch it with us, they can. Tell us again.
Yeah, they can. We're also putting in some very interesting stuff as well. On Joy News at 8, it's going to be interesting. A sports segment there. We're going to make sure we try to meet them halfway through. We don't have the TV rights, yes, but we have the radio rights. And you're going to listen to that. And then you can join us at the viewing centers more crucially. And we have a lot of programs running so that you can understand, okay? And we just try to meet them where we can meet them.
Absolutely. And if Aqua Harrison will bring us some updates.
Lovely updates. And our team is also leaving town tonight. And so we'll get our team on the ground. We'll be hearing from Tony Bebley. We'll hear from Nathaniel Atto. We'll be hearing from Countryman Song and all of them. They'll be telling us what's happening in camp. And you know what? We're going to be telling you the good, the bad, the ugly. Everything there is to know about the World Cup.
Absolutely. And so you want to tune into all our platforms, radio?
Every platform. On radio. All our radio stations, Adom FM, Asempa, Joy FM, Hits FM. There's something for you no matter where you are. On the online, Adom Online, My Joy Online, wherever you find yourself, get the sports page. We have a dedicated page on our Facebook page. On Facebook is Joy Sports. On TV, Joy Sports, Adom. On
TV, we'll meet you halfway.
Oh, we'll meet you halfway, definitely.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Because after watching the game, you need analysis. You see, you can watch the game, but what does it mean? What does Ghana's win mean? I mean, who is likely to be injured? What are the real dynamics of the game? You need to sit down with us, and we'll give you all of that. We'll give you great analysis getting into it as well.
Absolutely.
We'll make it a lovely, lovely, lovely World Cup.
We will. And it's totally fantastic speaking with you.
That's right.
I enjoyed myself. And listen to Pitbull's We Are One. We are all one?
Yeah, we are one. We are one.
Okay, listen. Oh, it isn't? I understand this is Ghana's version of the World Cup tune by Noella Ewiela. Have you heard it?
No, I've heard it.
I love that song.
It's brilliant. That's also
brilliant.
That's also great.
So that's our version. If you're outside Ghana, listen.